Thanks for staying with us. As we know, the rising case of insecurity in the last few weeks has been a major cause of concern for all Nigerians, with the two chambers of National Assembly outrightly calling for the dismissal of the service chiefs by the President Muhammadu Buhari. Our federal lawmakers alluded to the fact that they have outlived their usefulness and that they are bereft of ideas. On the show today, we have the Chairman, House Committee on Defense, Honorable Babajimi Benson, representing the Ikorodu Federal Constituency, to discuss more on this issue. You can join the conversation by calling us on 070-8066-8014, or you could tweet to us at TVC Connect. Please hashtag your view TVC so we can read your tweets. It's in the papers today. We took the story last week when the State House of the Federal House, National House of Assembly, both chambers spoke up concerning the insecurity challenges. And speaking, not just speaking up against the insecurity, but asking specifically for the service chiefs to be sacked. I want to start from there with you. Do you believe that that is the right solution? Do you think that they've indeed outlived their relevance? Do you share in the opinion that they are bereft of ideas, in that we've not seen any change or major improvement in the past few weeks? We've seen it deteriorating.
Yes, firstly, I empathize with Nigerians, particularly in the Northeast. A lot of lives have been lost. I was listening to you reading out the deaths that took place a couple of weeks ago. Recently, the seminarian, the young 19-year-old man, was also beheaded. It's so sad. Yes, last week, emotions were up in the National Assembly, particularly from the constituents, or the constituency that these dastardly incidents happened. What do you expect? The House of Rep member who is defending his federal constituency will get up and show emotions, because these people are helpless at times. So they don't see hope from anywhere. They run to their House of Reps person to make their voice be heard on the national chamber. But that is what really happened. But if you ask me, I always say that you cannot use law enforcement or security to kill poverty. Change the service chiefs 1 million times. If we don't address the growing number of hopelessness, if we don't address the growing number of unemployment, if we don't address the birth control, 75% of our population are youths. They say that the idle mind is the devil's workshop. So we need to address these things critically. So it takes me to Nigerians. We need to find out what our local government chairmen are doing with the monies allocated to them. We need to find out what the state governments.
So quickly, sir, it seems like you don't agree with the sacking of the service chiefs. And if you do not agree with them, what would you say incapacitates them in the face of this? Because it seems like Boko Haram has already re-strategized and they've metamorphosized from one thing to different faces, from being insurgents to kidnappers to bandits to all sorts of things. And these same service chiefs have been there for this long and they seem not to be strategic.
I'm not speaking for the service chiefs. I'm just addressing the root cause of the matter. At times, I've been privileged enough to speak with the fighters, the armed forces.
On the field.
Yes. And they tell me that, you see, this is a war that is unconventional. That at times, it could be the people where they occupy that are the Boko Haram. They strike and they run back. So it's not as if it's a war. It's an internal war. It is Nigerians. It is those constituents.
And but we've known that for years. So it's obvious that there might be lack of intelligence or creative ideas on how to effectively fight this. Because the thought would be that this statement you just made, we've heard that, and it's still ongoing. And now we have banditry. If we leave out the major insurgents of Boko Haram and we talk about banditry, it just makes me feel like if they are unable to effectively solve the problem, shouldn't we just change them? Are you sure that changing them will not bring in a fresh idea, bring in fresh opinion, will not rejig and sort of bring in new?
Again, I would speak from the position of knowledge. our armed forces, you have maybe less than 250,000 men. Less than, and they are operational in about 35 of the 36 states we have. The police, I'm sure you know, the index per citizen is one of the lowest in the world.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes? So the information gathering, the community policing thing should be actually done by the police or any other arrangement that may come to place. The armed forces comes in if there's external aggression issues or when the commander-in-chief instructs them to do. But that is not really their primary job. These same armed forces, when they go to Liberia, when they go to Sierra Leone, when they go to other parts of the world, they are the best. And to be frank with you, I have met, before I became the chairman of the House Committee on Defense, I used to have misgivings about the armed forces. But I have met one of the finest crop of Nigerians working and dying for their nation. Again, Nigerians think that Nigeria, that is the armed forces that is at war with the Boko Haram. It is actually all of us because they are funded from your taxpayers' money. They're funded by your taxpayers' money. One of your family or your relative may be part of them. So I think rather than vilify and put them to sword, I think they need some moral boosting, encouragement and things like that. And I also tell you some things. Again, I said I'm privileged. I have seen some of the innovation and devices that they've made coming from the experiences from this war. There's what you call the Ezugu MRAP. You know these trucks that Nigeria, they've started making it. And it was designed by a 30-something-year-old boy. I was even going to recommend him for a national award. These are investments that Nigerians don't even, I even talked to the military, that you guys, you need to communicate strategically. You know, there are a lot of things going on. There's a device they made to detect bombs. The biggest is 5 kilometers. It covers 5 kilometers. They have one, they invented one that can cover 50 kilometers. So they took it to a lab outside of Nigeria. That country wanted to steal it. Now we had to put our feet down to say, no, this is
an innovation from Nigeria.
Yeah. So there are a plethora of very good things that they've done that nobody is talking about.
I'll take a quick break, Mariam. Immediately we come back from this short break, I'll take a question from Mariam on this insecurity challenges. Please stay with us. We'll be right back. We still have Honorable Jimmy Benson with us here, and we're still discussing the challenges of insecurity in Nigeria. And Mariam, you have a question?
Yes. So you talk about all the various things that they have been doing, which is very commendable, and we do not get to hear a lot of that. But apart from that, is that it seems like it's not reflecting on what's happening underground. I mean, we can list all the fantastic things they're doing, but if people are still killed and so, you know, people would not understand what this is. But I had something came to me on my way to work today when I was just thinking about these killings, and I said, these insurgents and terrorists use our people because they do not have work, and so they are open to just be recruited. How come we're not making use of that same strategy these insurgents are using? We have so many people without jobs. Why don't we just take them and recruit them? I understand to recruit in like the Nigerian army and police, you need to have some form of education, but shouldn't we even start now, recruit them and educate them while on it so they are not available to people who would use them for things like this?
Yes, fantastic observation. This is one of the things that we're meeting the service chiefs this week. And this is one of the takeaways that we're going to be discussing with them. You two go into the pool where they're recruiting. Recruit police, recruit community policing.
Yes.
Which is why I'm extremely happy with what's going on about the Amotekun. You know, all politics is local. All security too should be local.
I thought that was what they were doing with JTF. You know, they have this
Civilian
joint
JTF.
Civilian JTF.
Yes, it can be better. It can be deepened. We brought our democracy presidential system from the United States of America. We imported everything from the legislature, separation of powers, and all those. But we did not import community policing, state policing.
Yeah.
I'm curious. Why would you
Why
have a
not?
federal system and you don't allow the states to be able to police their locality? I'm sure if we had that, we would not be where we are today. 400,000 policemen, 250,000 armed forces, policing 200 million people. It is ludicrous.
We have a call. I'll come to you, Mary, after this phone call. Trudy has called from Abuja. Welcome to the show. Good morning.
Trudy.
Hello. Good morning, Trudy. Can you hear us?
Yes, I can hear you. Good morning.
From Kaduna State.
Yes, good morning.
Good morning.
Good morning, Mr. Babajimi.
Good morning, sir.
Yes, in fact, I am listening with keen interest the discussion concerning the security challenges we are having in our country at present. As the House of Representatives, in unison with the Senate, you people have come up with a very good idea, talking about changing the security chiefs. It is quite good to do that. And aside of doing that, I want the government and you, our representatives, to look into critically the level of unemployment in this country. It is contributing a lot to give vent to the level of insecurity the Nigerian country is currently facing. I want to believe that if unemployment is addressed to a level, then this insecure situation will equally be addressed to a level. Thank you, and God bless you.
Thank you, Trudy.
Thank you.
Mary, you have a
Okay,
question?
so that brings me to my question. It's kind of even linked to what you said. It has to do with funding. Now, I know for sure that for you to employ people into these arms, especially the ones being created, there's also the issue of funding. Are there other avenues being created already for it? Because the last thing we need again is another long drawn out minimum wage issue, especially when the workforce increases in Nigeria. Are there ways, are there modalities in place to fix this?
Yes, there are no modalities, but we have to think out of the box. It is only in Nigeria that military hardware or infrastructure or recurrent issues are funded from the budgets. In most other countries, there are other sources in which you use to fund these things. At some point, we're toying with having an armed forces fund like the police have, that would also ensure that other revenue-generating agencies of government tap into a pool, and we use that to increase capacity and fund. There's that, so we're looking at it, and again, the funding and revenue sources in Nigeria, it's not unlimited. So funding challenges, but these are things that we should be able to surmount, because if there is no peace, there won't be investment, there won't be, insecurity will be right.
Since 2015.
No.
It was a problem the government was aware of before coming in.
Let me say something. For the first time, the Ninth Assembly has the armed forces as a legislative agenda. So we are already committed to ensuring that they get better funding and they get access to critical infrastructure they need.
Let's take this phone call from Hassan, called all the way from Lekki. Welcome to the show. Good morning.
Good morning, everybody.
Thank you.
Mr. Babajimi, I'm very happy that you are here. And because you are very close to the power that be, and you are one of the people that are involved in the design for now in terms of defense. So I'm talking to the right person. You see, it is enough of this slogan of lack of employment, enough of this slogan of lack of this going to school, lack of this, lack of that. This is the right time to act, to face the monster. What is happening in the Northeast for now is that there is this issue of military be at defensive They are not dealing with the Boko Haram. They are much more concerned about repelling them. And that is not what they were sent to do. The chiefs, the army chiefs started very well. We knew. But now they have outlived their usefulness. Let us have other people to do it. Leave this issue of all this Almajiri, all this, all that. It's an excuse. All this slogan of unemployment is an excuse. Let us face our problem. You understand? Anybody that is above 50 years in northern Nigeria is a product, a Muslim, is a product of Almajiri school. You understand? Forget about these people. Even Metasini found a ready-made army in Almajiris because the Malams keyed into the Metasini project. The same thing that is happening with Boko Haram. It has nothing to do. If people are ready to fight Boko Haram, look at what happened in Kano. People of Kano stood up against Boko Haram. Have you heard anything about Boko Haram again in Kano? Let people stand up and fight it. If people are serious, if the Nigerian army are serious, they will fight Boko Haram to a standstill. Good morning.
Thank you, Hassan, for your contribution. So,
his points are...
His points are, yeah, it's everywhere, but some very valid in that people must be involved to deal with the issues of insecurity in this country. But going back to the fact that the service chiefs have outlived their relevance, in that they've been there since 2015, and there was a bit of improvement immediately they came in. You know, sometimes that first move that they make with being freshly appointed tends to make a whole lot of difference. So when you change quickly, you might be able to quickly bring in fresh perspective and somebody who wants to make an impression and quickly sit up also. Don't you think that that might be important? Also, we don't see enough engagement between the military and the media, and we know that the media is important with shaping the opinions of the people. And so when the military official, the chiefs, because we can't even talk to the people that are any other person, they don't allow them to talk about the issues going on, are not upfront with what they are doing and how we can help. We're just assuming what the people can do. But if they come straight and say, this is how we want the people of Borno State to help the military officials there, this is the expectation the military have of these people, these are the numbers you can call, and that is open and clear to everyone in the states where they are actually actively operative. It might help to reduce one of the things. What do you think?
Yes, you've hit the nail on the head. You know, initially I spoke about strategic communication. Yeah. I admit it's lacking a bit. So they need to engage more. Nigerians want to know what's happening. Because what is happening in Borno affects the entire Nigeria.
Yes.
You know, when they are indexing Nigeria or doing the profiling and co, any aspect where the issue covers the entire Nigeria. So I agree with you. They need to communicate more. They need to speak to Nigerians more. But again, they also say that security are issues you discuss outside of the public. So that
we don't want to do the strategy. We
yeah.
just want to know how to help. Neymar has a question.
I wanted to ask your take on the regional security that we're now resorting to, because every region is resorting as their problems come. So the Southwest have started their Motekun, the Northeast and North Central are already calling for their own, that, you know, we need to help ourselves. People are now resorting to self-help. How divisive is this? Is it a solution? Is it divisive? And in fact, the detonated young man, the man who was with some explosives that was detonated, people are calling that he's underreported because he's not a Muslim, he's not a Fulani man. And that's why he's underreported. They're not putting his name out there. So how much of a solution is this regional help that we're now resorting to? And is it possible that eventually this is security restructuring at the end of the day if we don't do something about it?
That'll be our last question, so we'd like you
Thank you very much for that question, and it's a very apt question. I believe that the Amotekun type security arrangement should come and stay. And I said earlier that we imported every aspect of federal system of government, except state police, community policing, and co. So I think it is something that would bridge the security gap immediately, because the employees of those outfits will be citizens or will be residents of that area. So that is the best way of intelligence, gathering it from the source before it blows up. Secondly, 250 armed forces, 400,000 policemen to police a people of 200 million naira. It is not just absurd, it is ludicrous.
There's just one quick, short question. The wearing of camouflage by civilians, is there a law against it? We need to know, because we get people brutalized and battered by military.
Yes,
I'm
still trying to lay my hands on the law, but I understand where the military are coming from as well, because we live in very interesting times. So somebody can wear the camouflage and you will think that he's one of you, but he may be the enemy. So, but you have to draw the line between maintaining peace and also allowing, if there's no law that goes against it, communication, like she said, we need to know where they are coming from.
What is acceptable fashionably and what isn't acceptable.
Because I know abroad, you have the
everybody wears everything.
Yes, I even have some, but I keep them at home because I don't want to
where you are not here.
I'm not, exactly.
Okay, sir. As we run off and round off this segment, I want to ask, what should we expect from your committee and what you've called the service chief to come, you've called the president. What should we expect? What should Nigerians expect from you?
Exactly. So Nigerians have spoken passionately about insecurity. We hear them loud and clear, but we don't believe in shaving people's heads behind their backs. There may be some critical information that these guys have that is not in the public domain that they don't want to say it out. We want to listen to them, we want to hear them out. It is after we do that that we'll now make our strong commitment or communication to Mr. President on what to do or not what to do. But we do not take the security of lives and property in Nigeria for granted, and we are sure that on Wednesday, we will do our possible best to ensure we extract as much commitment from them as well, that this thing would die down in the shortest possible time.
Thank you so much, Honorable Jimmy Benson. You sound very calm, somehow convincing, and I hope that our audience have been convinced about your commitment to improve our security challenges in Nigeria. That's all we can take on this segment. When we return, we'll be discussing the lineup of hot topics. Please stay with us. We'll be right back.